Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Daniel Umstead, host of the RNG radio show. I got another amazing guest, and really this touches my heart from those know my past story with my friend Brian. But I got DeShaun on here on the podcast today just to share some wisdom, share some inspiration, and share some joy. So DeShaun, how are you doing today, my brother? How's everything going?
I'm doing awesome and amazing, getting better and better by the day. You know, it's been a rough few weeks, but we're gonna keep on getting through it.
Hey, listen, what is it? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. So King, just continue to rise and just understand sometimes you got to tilt it a little bit. So as folks are listening, let me tell you a little bit about DeShaun. So DeShaun Williams is the owner and operator of DeShaun Williams Industries, LLC. He is a motivational speaker, multi-published author, podcast host, and mentor. He is also the co-founder and executive director for Hope and Heart nonprofit, where he serves as a mental health and suicide prevention associate from South Carolina. At only the age of 24 years old, he has been on a mission to empower and inspire others to be who they are designed to be. DeShaun is not a victim of his past, but a living testament of what happens when you empower yourself to become greater than ever believed. DeShaun, thank you, man. Thank you. I mentioned Brian earlier. I lost a friend to suicide, and I even just forgot to mention this even when we were connecting. So hearing your story, looking at your background, and you just being that inspiration, I'm looking to get that out from you today just to share with others, because we are powerful, and it just takes that one individual to share that. So thank you above and beyond. This interview, I know for a fact, is really going to be emotional for me. But first, get it started. I want to know, what was the turning point in your life?
You know, uh, it was a lot of turning points. It was it was most definitely a lot of turning points in my life. From you know, from growing up and being taken away from my mother and my grandparents taking me and my brother going to go stay with his biological dad, me growing up not knowing who my biological dad was, to um, graduating high school and ultimately dropping out of college right after high school, um, up until 2018. 2018, I remember starting a job my first year, my first time working security. May 5th, 2018 was my hire date. And we had 304 hours that we had to cover each week. And we had four people to man that ship. And so that meant that some of us had to work 8 hour shifts or 12-hour shifts, and some of us were designated to work 16-hour shifts. Well, I was trying to go back to college, and at the time I was in a relationship. So I was the one that they said I got the best straw in the whole jar. I always tell them I got the worst straw in it because I got picked to work 8, 12, and 16. So each day was, so one day I work at 8, the next day I work at 12, and the day after I work at 16, I'll go back home. And trying to maintain a college life and a relationship didn't quite work out. I ultimately dropped out of college right after. Um, I had to pick up all those shifts, and you know, then at the same time, our supervisor that I started under, he actually quit. So that left us with 304 hours and three people. So that meant I was working 16-hour shifts just about every day.
Jeez.
And it got to the point that when the second supervisor that I would answer to, I ended up training him, and it just got to a point where I was like, okay, enough is enough. And it's like maybe I don't like life was beating me down because on top of this relationship has went down the drain. So that was a failed engagement, and I've lost a best friend of mine to an accidental overdose. And so I said, okay, maybe I don't belong on this earth. So I tried to commit suicide. And, I didn't think anything about it when I went to church the next day because I tried to commit suicide on Saturday. I went to church that Sunday. And I will never forget this line. As I'm in church, one of my friends says, "You look like crap."
Thanks for the inspiration.
Said, "What did you get to sleep last night? Tried to commit suicide." They was like, "Wow." It's like, I just feel like I don't belong here anymore. And I didn't think anything else about it until that Wednesday night. So I volunteered out with the church and I helped out with the kids. The first thing I hear is, "We need to talk." Talk about what?
Right.
I'm trying to downplay, like, talk about what? It's like, we heard. I'm like, heard what? You heard what? And because I already kind of knew what it was about because before church they had already texted me like, "If you come tonight, we need to talk." I'm like, I might not go, but I was scheduled to volunteer, and I love volunteering with the kids. So I was stand up to kids, and while I'm there, they're telling me, "Hey, we know about what you try to do, and because you're serving on the church team, your safety is our number one priority. So you can either go to your local hospital or you can go to, because I reside in South Carolina, or you can go to the Greenville Hospital." And I'm thinking, okay, so I can drive myself to either one of these hospitals, right?
Right.
No. They were going to drive me. They said, "You can either go under your own choice or we're going to force you to go and we'll check you in." And I said, "Well, you can't force me to go anywhere. I'm an
Right.
adult." And they said, "Well, you have a choice." My choice was I was going to go under my own power. I couldn't drive there, but I did end up going to the hospital, checked in, stayed in the ER overnight before they moved me up to the second floor. So the second floor is what they call the psych ward. And while I was up in the psych ward, I was given depression medication. I was given sleeping medication. I was seen by the doctors, seen by the psychiatrist, and I just never forget this one psychiatrist. She comes in, she tells me, "Hey, Mr. Williams." "Yes." "So because you suffer from what they call code red depression, otherwise known as major depression, you'll never be able to do things that other successful people are able to do." So I
Wow.
just
Okay.
looked at it. It's just like, you have a $19,000 hospital bill because your insurance declined. Okay. So, you know, at this point, I'm in the hospital already for about 4 days. So this is the this is the time where they're trying to figure out, am I good mentally to be released and everything. And I'm talking to some of the friends I've made up there on the psych ward, and and I told them, I was like, they told me I won't be able to prosper in life. And she told me, she said, the friend I made, she told me, she said, "You can do anything that you put your mind to." And so when it came time for me to be released from the hospital, I'll never forget, I was asked, "What is it that you're going to do now that you're getting released?" "Everything that y'all told me I couldn't do." And I went out, and that was like the start. That was the turning point and the start of something greater, because I knew that if I've been told that I couldn't do something because of depression or ADHD or something of that nature, I know that there's others out there that have been told the exact same thing.
Wow. DeShaun, that's just wild, man. Because I'm hearing, the work 16 hours, and I've done security detail before back in college, and I lost my job doing security detail because they had me looking after cows, and it was like 3 a.m. and it was just a long story. But hearing the girlfriend breaking up, because those can be hard, whether people believe it or not, meds that they pumping you with, 19,000, and it's like all these things, and you come out like you're coming out of this becoming a co-founder and executive director for Hope and Heart nonprofit, where you serve as an advocate, and you're under 30. Most people would have been like, oh man, he's been in the game for 20 years. This is what has happened. But hearing about this and going forward, like, I just got to know, man, like, how are you? I mean, I know you had the advice, and, I know the church was there definitely, which was awesome. But mentally, by yourself, you waking up by yourself, you going to sleep by yourself, you are living by yourself in your own mind. Like, how did you stay motivated during those dark times, man?
Going forward after that, I think I say motivated a lot because right after that, I ended up about 4 months later, I ended up finding myself in another relationship that I thought was gonna last, and she told me things that made me happy. Then she told me things that kind of ticked me off at times. She even told me that I wouldn't be able to, that nobody would hire me because I'm not a big name. We ultimately broke up, but I think the way I stay motivated is because, as I said, going through that lifestyle that I've been through, going from that little baby boy that my mom threatened to kill to the Department of Social Services, up until, and then losing my grandfather when I was in 7th grade, losing my great grandmother on the first day of summer after my 8th grade year, and then losing several other family members right after. And then going through what I went through in 2018, I think that was kind of that was a motivation in itself, because my grandfather had always told me, whatever you do, don't give up. If you have a dream, go after it, no matter what other people say. And I'm not saying that my grandfather was I'm not saying that he was a great man, but he was definitely my role model. And I could learn a lot from him, and I did. So, just being able to know that there were people who were in my life that may have passed away, they always believed in me. And like my friend that died from the accidental overdose, he was clean at the time, and he kind of got back in with the wrong crowd, and took half a pill and then blew his heart up. But um, you know, he always told me when we was in high school, because we played soccer together, he says, you can do anything that you put your mind to. Nobody can stop you. The only person that can stop you is yourself. So just knowing that, and then also, I think the biggest like the biggest success that came after that was not, I would say it was starting my own podcast, but it was actually setting history in the security field. So for the company that I worked for, which was Allied Universal,
Okay.
um, I actually became the youngest supervisor in company history at 20 years old. So I got out of the hospital in October of 2018, and I made supervisor in December of 2018. And so, I had a short stint as supervisor, but the turnover rate was something I couldn't control.
Yeah.
But just to have that title, it meant a lot, because there's not a lot of 20-year-olds that can say I've made supervisor, especially in the security field.
No, no. Listen, I had dealt with Allied Universal way back 2012, 2014. And you're right, no age discrimination here. But usually the supervisors I came across were either 30s, 40s, or they were retired individuals coming from the police force and then coming into this role. So being able to fill those shoes, which are some pretty big shoes and tenured shoes, but coming in, being 20 years old, and it's like, oh, are you one of the cadets? And it's like, no, I'm actually the supervisor. That says a lot, especially marketing history, man. So that's amazing, man. Kudos to you for that. I gotta ask, because, and I don't know, for whatever reason, just blocking it out of my mind as far as what happened to you as a kid, and then growing up, and then losing so many people, and then as a friend. What is your goal that you're going after? where you're at right now, I mean, you're co-founder, executive director, you're that advocate, but what is DeShaun Williams, going to be like in the next 3 to 5 years? What should we be on the lookout for?
So in the next 3 to 5 years, so for Hope in Heart nonprofit, I hope to have that nonprofit going into different states, having advocates in different states, partnering up with mental health facilities, and going and being able to have these advocates or myself going in and speaking to students and telling them, like, spreading the word about mental health and suicide prevention, because those are two very important topics and they don't get talked about a lot. So getting more advocates in the business, and then putting on more live events. We're currently working on one, and we're like, okay, we gotta get on top of this, but we gotta make sure that the messaging is clear.
Yeah.
And then outside of Hope in Heart nonprofit, you have Success in Authenticity, which is my mentoring and speaking. And what I'm looking forward to is to be able to go into Lander University, which was the college I dropped out of, and speaking to the college students there, going back to my alma mater high school and speaking to the students there, because I believe that when you come into the 9th grade, you are going through like this entire change, because you have went from junior high or middle school here, and you're stepping into something a whole lot different, a new atmosphere, and you got to make sure that you remain yourself, because the biggest issue that I had in high school was, people wanted me to rap, and I tell people I think Ice JJ Fish has more rhythm than I do when it comes to, and so but
That's saying a lot, man. That's saying a lot.
and so it the one thing I wish I was told back in high school is, hey, just be yourself. If they don't like you, that's okay, but the ones who do will like you. And I'm actually implementing that with what I love to do on every other weekend, which is stepping inside a independent professional wrestling ring and just going out there and I'm the bad guy. I'm the one that they all love to hate, and so I love interacting with the fans and with the kids. And after the shows, they're like, we love you, right? It's like, I know. It's like, we just got to give you crap during the show. It's like, hey, I understand, but showing them like, hey, you can have, like, if you go into the wrestling business, you can portray this character, but as long as they know who you truly are, they know that you're genuine, that this gimmick is not who you truly are, and that you are authentic. So, I'm just loving that, and the wrestling be incorporated into the mentoring and into the speaking, because I can definitely do the word on play of, are you wrestling with your fear? Are you wrestling with being authentic? Let me show you how to break free of that submission. And things of that nature.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. And I was going to ask you as far as like how that goes into play, because it's like you hear suicide prevention, being an advocate, going out to inspire others. And then it's like, but I also do wrestling on the side. So hearing about that, I like how you put that together. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a book out as well. Is that correct?
So I have 7 books on Amazon.
DeShaun, I need you to back up, because I asked one question and one question only. I asked if you have a book out, and you have how many books out?
I have 7.
7 books out. DeShaun, I'm sorry. I don't like to point out age. I'm 39. How old are you again?
I'm 24.
24 with 7 books out.
And one of them is an autobiography that I wrote last year.
Wow. And all of this is through what you've been through, going through the turmoils of life, like I said, if you told me right now and just said, I know I told you I'm 24, I'm actually 42, I'll believe you. I'll believe you, but 24 with 7 books. So you got the platform, King. Tell me about these books, man. Start from the autobiography. Tell me about all of them.
So the autobiography, most people would think that it's a very long book, but honestly, it's 46 pages. I forget how many chapters it's in there, but I just know that when I was writing this book, I'm gonna be honest, I was I was up close and personal. I did not leave any names out. So some of my family, um, they love it. Some of them don't, and that's okay.
Territory.
Uh, when you're calling people out in your book, is you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that mixed reaction. But the autobiography talks about me growing up, me being taken from my mom, being malnutrition, me and my brother both, and my grandmother getting custody of me. What most people also don't realize is when I was in elementary school, all the way up to 8th grade and in middle school, I actually had a few run in with the law. Uh,
At that
they would
age.
always get called to the school for school disturbance. I Because of my background with my mom, I didn't. I've always had at the time I had a problem with authority. I didn't like answering to anyone. I wanted to do what I wanted when I wanted. And so that was kind of what got the police involved. As I got into high school, that's when things started to change. My 9th grade year wasn't the best, but um, as I moved forward, I got into playing soccer, got into student government, founded my own club in the school, which was a anti-bullying society club. So we was raising awareness on bullying. Um, Even had a newspaper article that I can't seem to find anymore. Um, and then graduating, I didn't graduate in the top, but because senior year, I just kind of like only need one class to pass, and I'm not worried
Oh,
about the rest of them. So, but my senior year was definitely one of my best years. I did not play soccer my senior year, and I also did not serve on student government my senior year. I was actually barred from running for student government president the year before because I got suspended 2 weeks prior to school being out. So,
wow.
um, but I wanted to play football my senior year. It just didn't work out. Found out I had scoliosis, so that kind of went down the drain. And that autobiography takes us all the way into me graduating high school to dropping out of college up until last year. So it also talks about my suicide attempt, but it talks about how last year I was given an opportunity to go to Orlando, Florida for um, for a speaking competition. And I found out about this competition 48 to 72 hours prior to the actual competition happening. I paid the money to go to be a part of this competition, and I was asked, how are you going to get there? Because I stay in South Carolina, the competition is in Orlando, Florida. And I drove 8.5 hours to Orlando, Florida, the day before the actual competition. I got into Orlando because I thought, oh, I'm gonna be in Orlando about 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
I plan ahead now. I got into Orlando at about 11 o'clock. The hotel I'm staying at is right across the road from Disney. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna get checked in. I'm gonna be in my room by 11:30. I get checked in at 11:45. Make it to my room at 12 o'clock.
Wow.
I finally go to sleep about 2 o'clock. Back up at 6 o'clock. Go for the speaking competition. I'm nervous, and I tell my life story. So I told my story about battling depression in 2018. I get to the semifinals. I talk about growing up without a dad, didn't quite hit, so I don't make it I don't make it to the finals. But I actually was awarded this. So I can now say I'm an award-winning speaker. Um, and from that, I've been in several publications as well. So that's the autobiography, and then I have five five books that are poetry, and these poetry books, most people are like, oh, poetry is just poetry. This poetry actually shows where my mindset was at before 2018. So it actually shows the darkness that I was going through, because I felt like that was important. You don't understand the autobiography um if you can't get the darkness that was going on in my head. How many failed relationships I had, because I'm not gonna lie, I had more than two. I had like four of them. So that's what the poetry was about. And then I have an ebook that's actually four poetry books, one autobiography. I have a book that was talking about me. I have two ebooks. So one of them is talking about transitioning mindset. I actually did not write that one, but I actually got the credit for it. Went on Fiverr, hired a ghostwriter. She wrote it for me, and she signed all the rights over to me. It just never sold. I probably just didn't promote it enough.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. Listen, it's the fact that you got 7 books, because there's so many people out here that have that writer's block for the first book. I was definitely one of them. I'm still one of them. In regards to it, I got like 20 probably books in Google Docs drafts right now that probably could be winning. I ain't saying they're going to be award winning, but definitely can put the content out there. But the fact that you overcome that, despite everything that you've been going through, King, you've overcome that and you have 7 books out. It's not hard to figure out who DeShaun Williams is after Googling him. So much respect to you on that front. Prior to me, because I do want to wrap up here, but if you could go back and talk to your younger self, what advice would you be giving him?
if I could go, I think the younger self I would talk to was um, so I have a tattoo on my arm that says Prodigy. That's why I look down. But I would go back to about 2014. That's when I got the name Prodigy. That's when I was trying to rap. That's when everybody in the school loved me. Um, we all crack jokes, but if I could go back and talk to my 10th grade self, it would be just be yourself and just stay authentic. Don't change up for anyone. Don't don't worry about being accepted by everyone. If they love you for who you are, then they will stay. If they don't, then that's okay.
Love that, man. Love that. And one last final question. You got a lot of stuff going on, Amazon, the podcast. How can folks get in contact with you, either via social media or even directly?
So social media, I think the best way to contact me is Facebook. My name on Facebook is DeShaun Williams. If they want to send me an email, my email is booking.deshaun@gmail.com. And so I check my email every day because I have like 5 of them that I have to check. So I check emails daily to make sure I'm not missing out on anything.
Great, man. I appreciate that. And I'll have the links below, ladies and gentlemen, for further info. But DeShaun, man, I just really, I love your energy. I love your drive. I love the stories. You know, definitely inspired me more just to shoot higher on that ladder, man. So I want to thank you so much for that. Before I let you go, is there any advice, quote, motivation that you'd like to give to the folks before we depart?
I think the quote that hurts the most, but it is actually the best. Nobody thinks about you as much as you think about yourself. So, you know, if you're wondering someone doesn't like you, they probably aren't even like you, probably haven't even gone through their mind. And so all that matters is that you make sure that you're showing yourself enough love and compassion each and every day, Because if you're not, then how can you truly expect someone to meet the level and the standards that you're setting for them to love you at?
Wow. Love that, man. Thank you. Thank you so much, DeShaun. Award-winning speaker, man. I really appreciate having you on the RNG radio show, and definitely looking forward for you to come back and give us a recap of what you've been up to, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the RNG radio show. Be sure to like and subscribe for more episodes and future content. If you'd like to learn more, visit us at danielumstead.com. Stay blessed, my fellow millionaires.